The abandoned space station drifted silently in the void, its rusted hull telling stories of better days. In the dim cargo bay, Nira clutched her son Kale closer to her chest, feeling his fevered body tremble against hers. The 7-year-old boy's breathing came in short, ragged gasps, his usually bright purple skin now pale and sickly. "Please," she whispered to the human standing before her, his weathered face illuminated by the flickering lights. "He's all I have left." Captain Marcus Stone studied the alien woman before him. Her species, the Zalani, were known for their grace and beauty, but desperation had stripped away her dignity. Her clothes were torn, her silver hair tangled, and her large amber eyes held the kind of pain that came from losing everything. "The medicine you're asking for isn't cheap," Marcus said, his voice gruff but not unkind. "Naraxin costs more than most people see in a lifetime. I'll work for you," Nira pleaded, her voice breaking. "I'll do anything. Cook, clean, maintain." "Your ship." "I was an engineer on my homeworld before," her voice trailed off. Unable to speak of the war that had claimed her planet, Marcus felt something twist in his chest as he looked at the dying child. He'd spent 15 years as a trader on the frontier, learning to keep his heart locked away. Caring too much got you killed out here. But something about this mother's love reminded him of feelings he'd buried long ago. "You understand what you're asking?" he said quietly. "The sectors we'll have to cross are dangerous. Pirates, raiders, worse things. And the medical station is in neutral space. Not exactly safe harbor." Nira nodded quickly, tears streaming down her face. "Anywheres. Better than watching him die here." Kale stirred in her arms, his eyes fluttering open. "Mama?" His voice was barely a whisper. "She, little star," Nira soothed, using her pet name for him. "We're going to get you better." Marcus watched the tender moment and made his decision. Against every instinct screaming at him to walk away, he extended his hand. 5 years of service. You work off the debt, and I'll get your boy the medicine he needs." Nira's eyes widened with desperate hope. 5 years? The medicine, transport, protection? It all costs. But I promise you this. Your son will live. Without hesitation, Nira grasped his hand. Her skin was surprisingly warm, sending an unexpected jolt through Marcus. "Thank you," she breathed. "Thank you for giving us hope." As their hands remained clasped, something passed between them, a connection neither expected. Himself, looking into her amber eyes longer than necessary, while Nira felt her heart skip at the kindness she saw in his weathered features. Dangerous Pasaga 3 days into their journey aboard the Stellar Dawn, Nira had proven herself invaluable. Marcus watched her work on the ship's filtration system, her slender fingers moving with practiced precision. Despite everything she'd lost, she threw herself into every task with determined grace. "The primary coupling was loose," she reported. Wiping grease from her hands, "It should run smoother now." "Where did you learn to work on human tech?" Marcus asked, genuinely curious. "My people traded with many species before the war. I always had a gift for understanding how things worked." Her voice carried a wistful tone. "I designed atmospheric processors on Zelon Prime." They were interrupted by Kale's weak cough from the medical bay. Nira's face immediately clouded with worry, and she hurried to her son's side. Marcus followed, watching as she gently checked the boy's temperature. "He's still burning up," she whispered, her voice thick with fear. Without thinking, Marcus placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Hey, we'll reach the medical station in 4 days. He's stronger than he looks." Nira leaned into his touch, finding unexpected comfort in his presence. "What if we're too late?" "We won't be." Marcus's voice carried a conviction that surprised. "Them both. I promise you, Nira. I don't make promises lightly." She turned to face him, and suddenly they were very close. Her amber eyes searched his face, seeing past the gruff exterior to the man beneath. "Why are you helping us, really?" Struggled with the answer. "Maybe because someone should have helped me once, when I needed it most." "What happened to you?" she asked softly. Before he could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. Marcus rushed to the cockpit, Nira close behind. On the scanner, 3 ships were approaching fast, Pirates by the look of their mismatched hulls. Stay with Kale, Marcus ordered, his hands flying over the controls. I can help, Nira insisted. I know the ship's systems now. Marcus looked at her determined face and made a quick decision. Fine. Take the engineering station. Reroute all available power to shields and engines. As the pirate ships closed in, Nira worked frantically at her console. Laser fire erupted around them, shaking the stellar dawn violently. In the chaos, Marcus found himself stealing glances at Nira, admiring her calm efficiency under pressure. Got it, she called out. Shields at maximum, engines running hot. Their eyes met across the cockpit, and even in the danger, something electric passed between them. Marcus felt his heart racing, and not just from the chase. Hold on, he said, his voice rougher than intended. We're going through the asteroid field. As they wove between the massive rocks, Nira gripped her console. Marcus's skilled piloting impressed her, his strong hands steady on the controls. When they finally lost the pirates, they both let out shaky breaths. That was incredible flying, Nira said, her voice filled with admiration. Marcus turned to find her looking at him with something new in her eyes. Not just gratitude, genuine attraction. The medical station loomed ahead, a gleaming beacon of hope in the darkness. Nira held Kale close, as Marcus guided the stellar dawn into the docking bay, her heart pounding with anticipation. Soon her son would have the medicine he needed. Niraxin is already waiting, Marcus assured her as they walked through the station corridors. Dr. Hayes is the best in the sector. But as they entered the medical bay, Nira froze. A striking human woman with short auburn hair and knowing green eyes stepped forward, her expression unreadable. Hello, Marcus, the woman said, her voice carrying years of shared history. Marcus's jaw tightened. I didn't know you were still working here. Nira felt a cold knot form in her stomach as she watched the exchange. The familiarity between them was obvious, and something about the way Zara looked at Marcus made Nira's newfound feelings twist into jealousy. Who's this? Zara asked, her eyes taking in Nira and Kale with professional interest. Refugees. The boy needs Niraxin treatment, Marcus said curtly. Dr. Hayes quickly took charge, whisking Kale away for treatment. As Nira paced the waiting area, she couldn't ignore the quiet conversation happening between Marcus and Zara. You always did have a soft spot for strays, Zara was saying, but this one's different, isn't she? It's not like that, Marcus replied, but his voice lacked conviction, isn't it? I can see the way you look at her, Marcus. The way she looks at you. Zara stepped closer. Be careful. Attachment never ends well in our line of work. Nira couldn't help but overhear, and her heart sank. Was she just another charity? Case to Marcus. Had she imagined the connection between them? Hours later, when Dr. Hayes emerged with good news about Kale's treatment, Nira felt torn between relief and confusion. As Marcus made arrangements for the medicine, Zara approached her. He didn't tell you about us, did he? Zara said quietly. None of my business, Nira replied, trying to keep her voice steady. We were partners for 3 years, business and personal, until he decided that getting too close was dangerous. Zara's smile was sad. He has a habit of pushing away the people who matter most. That night, as Kale slept peacefully under medical supervision, Nira found Marcus standing alone on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Zara told me about your history, she said quietly, joining him at the window. Marcus' shoulders tensed. What did she tell you? That you're afraid of getting close to people? Nira turned to face him. Is that what this is? Some kind of rescue mission to ease your conscience? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. At first, maybe, but not. Any more? He turned to her, and in his eyes, Nira saw raw honesty. You and Kale. You've changed something in me. Something I thought was dead. Marcus. Nira whispered, her heart racing slowly, hesitantly. He reached out to cup her face. I know I have no right. You're bound to me for 5 years, and that's not fair to you. But I need you to know what I feel for you has nothing to do with obligation. Their faces were inches apart now, the tension between them electric. "What do you feel?" she asked breathlessly. "Hearts under fire? I feel like I've been sleepwalking for 15 years. "And you woke me up," Marcus whispered, his thumb tracing her cheek. Before Nira could respond, alarm shrieked through the medical station. Through the observation window, they saw ships approaching, the same pirates from before, now joined by others. "They followed us," Marcus cursed, grabbing Nira's hand. "We need to get to Kale." The station shuddered under weapons fire as they raced through corridors filled with panicking civilians. In the medical bay, they found Zara already preparing Kale for transport, the boy's fever finally broken. "The pirates are jamming communications," Zara reported. "Station security is overwhelmed. "I need to get to my ship," Marcus said, scooping up Kale despite the boy's protests that he could walk. As they moved through the chaos, Nira saw the man Marcus truly was. He shielded civilians from falling debris, helped an elderly couple to safety, and never once complained about the danger he'd put himself in for their sake. When they reached the docking bay, pirates had already breached the station. Laser fire erupted around them as Marcus fought to clear a path to the stellar dawn. "Take Kale and run," he shouted to Nira, pressing a weapon into her hands. "I'm not leaving you," she replied fiercely. Their eyes met in the chaos, and Marcus saw the same. The determination that had saved her son reflected in her gaze. Together then, fighting side by side, they carved their way to the ship. Nira's engineering skills proved invaluable as she rapidly prepped systems while Marcus and Zara held off the attackers. "Engines ready," Nira called out as they lifted off. A pirate fighter managed to attach a boarding tube to their hull. Marcus moved to repel boarders, but Nira caught his arm. "Marcus, wait." Her voice was urgent, desperate. "If something happens to you, ... "Nothing's going to happen," he said, firmly. "Promise me. Promise you'll come back to us." The raw emotion in her voice broke through his defenses completely. Without hesitation, he pulled her close and kissed her deeply, pouring all his feelings into that moment. Her lips were soft and warm, and she melted into his embrace. "I promise," he murmured against her lips. "Because I love you, Nira. Both of you." "I love you too," she whispered back, tears streaming down her face. Kale, covered enough to witness the exchange, smiled weakly. "Does this mean Marcus is staying with us forever, Mama?" "If he wants to," Nira said, looking into Marcus's eyes. "Forever sounds about right," Marcus replied, kissing her forehead before heading off to deal with the boarders. When the battle was over and they'd escaped to safe space, the three of them sat together in the ship's common area. Cleo was curled up between them, finally healthy and safe, while Marcus and Nira held hands over his sleeping form. "So what happens now?" Nira asked quietly. "Now we find somewhere to call home," Marcus said. "Somewhere we can be a family." 6 months later, the morning sun cast golden light through the windows of their small house on New Haven Colony. Nira stirred in Marcus's arms, feeling completely content for the first time in years. His steady heartbeat beneath her ear had become her favorite sound in the universe. "Morning, beautiful," Marcus murmured, pressing a kiss to her silver hair. "Morning yourself, handsome," she replied, tilting her face up for a proper kiss. Their tender moment was interrupted by Kale bounding into the room, fully recovered and more energetic than ever. "Mama, Marcus, come see." The new transport arrived. Laughing, they dressed and joined their son outside. Colony was thriving, and they'd found their place in it. Marcus had established a legitimate trading business, while Nira used her engineering skills to help design better atmospheric systems for the growing settlement. "Someone's excited about the new arrivals," Marcus observed, watching Kale bounce with anticipation. "He likes meeting new people," Nira smiled. "I think he gets that from you. I'm the one who used to avoid people at all costs." "Used to?" she emphasized, slipping her arms around his waist. "Look at you now, pillar of the community, helping every refugee family that comes through." Marcus pulled her closer, marveling at how completely she'd transformed his life. "What can I say? You taught me that some things are worth the risk." As they watched the transport ship land, Marcus thought about the journey that had brought them here. What started as a business transaction had become the greatest love story of his life. Any regrets, he asked softly, about leaving everything behind? About the 5-year contract that we've already forgotten about? Nira looked up at him with sparkling amber eyes. My only regret is that it took a medical emergency to bring us together. Speaking of which, ... Marcus reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. I've been carrying this around for weeks, waiting for the right moment. Nira gasped as he dropped to one knee right there in the busy colony square. Kale whooped with delight, and other colonists began to gather. Nira, you and Kale saved my life in every way that matters. Will you marry me? Will you let me be Kale's father officially? Yes. She laughed through happy tears. Yes, of course, yes. As he slipped the ring onto her finger, the small crowd erupted in cheers. Kale launched himself at both of them, and they fell into a laughing, crying group embrace. Later that evening, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, Kale already asleep between them again, Nira reflected on their incredible journey. You know what the best part is? She said quietly. What's that? This is just the beginning. We have a whole lifetime of adventures ahead of us. Marcus squeezed her hand, looking out at the stars that no longer seemed cold and distant, but full of infinite possibilities. Bring them on. As long as we're together, we can handle anything. And in the growing darkness of New Haven's gentle night, 3 hearts beat as one, ready for whatever the universe might bring their way.